I have a technique for you in this video that I haven't spoken about before, and it's something that could manifest things into your life very quickly and even instantly. Even a week from now, a day from now, a month from now, even a year from now, but it can happen instantly if you do it correctly and you are very present while you're doing that, and you slow time down and you realize that the simulation is actually contained within your own mind, and you can create whatever you want, because you absolutely can. You, right now watching this video, can manifest and create anything you want to come into your reality. And this technique is called a letter from your future self. It's very powerful, and it's a form of scripting where you write a letter to yourself from your future self, having everything that you desire now, but you want to do it in this state, in the present moment, and feeling yourself into this meditative state, slowing time down with your attention focused on these feelings and these images that are coming into your mind from already having every desire that you could ever dream of having. Okay, whatever you decide that you want to create into your life, your future self is writing you a letter right now in the present moment after already having all these things, but you're doing it from the event in the present moment. So you get specific with your desire, or you can be vague with your desire, that you're financially free, that everything is worked out for you perfectly, and you're living in this country or this state or on the beach, or you're driving your supercar, or you're in the perfect relationship. You can get as specific as you want with this. But what this does is, when you write this letter to yourself, you get a piece of paper and a pen, and you write this out as specific as you want to be, and as many things as you want to be, but they are attributes of your future self, but you're going to feel them in the present moment because your future self is writing this to you. So, for example, if it's something that you want to create in sales, say you made, $200,000 in sales in a week, okay, and this is your future self. I have a business where I'm making $200,000 in sales, and don't limit yourself here. Don't limit yourself. Don't say, if you're thinking $5,000 a month or a week, make it 50, make it 500,000. Don't limit yourself. I really want you to step into this new version of yourself in this process, because you are a limitless being and you can manifest whatever you want. And when you start making these really radical changes within your imagination, you start to see some really amazing things happen to you. And mastering this ability through this process, especially with this technique, is going to bring a lot of great, amazing things to come into your life. So you write this down, specifically, I have a business right now that is making $200,000 a week, and I'm manifesting more and more and more, and I'm in the perfect relationship. I'm driving this car, or I have a 6-car garage with every supercar that I ever dreamed of having. I give to charity. I've bought my mother or my father. I've retired my mother and my father. Now I bought them a beach house, and now they're living their dream and their passion of giving back. You're also giving back in servitude, but you're defining a concept of yourself, okay? It's not just material things. This is about creating the version of yourself where you are now successful, and you're feeling yourself into this concept of yourself. This concept where you have, you can even create winning the lottery, but also giving with that money that you've created or that you've manifested into your world. Like, your future self writes a letter to you where I won the lottery, whatever that amount of money that would be, or whatever type of lottery that would be. You write that down, and everything that you did with the money, everything that you're doing with the money, that concept of yourself, like you're giving back with the money. And I get that. I understand that a lot of people want to win the lottery because they want to give. And I do understand that. So create the concept of yourself after you have won the lottery, or you created the business, or you have been found success within your life. And then you create and you write this stuff down. You write it down exactly. I am now a successful multi-millionaire driving this car, and I absolutely love driving it, and I love living this life. I love who I am now, and my life is working out for me perfectly. I've given this, and this to my family members, this family member, that family member. Be very specific with the names, the people, everything. Becoming this person that is giving and is not self-centered, because remember, the germ of defeat is contained within every selfish thought. But that doesn't mean you can't manifest all of your desires while creating this version of yourself with this letter from your future self to you. And when you write this down, do it Do it in the morning and then do it at night before you go to sleep. It'll set the stage for your entire day and also as you're going to sleep at night. And keep this letter with you. Put it under your pillow. Keep it in your pocket. Keep it in places where it's going to remind you all day long. So every time you see this letter, it connects you with your future self. You want to keep this letter with you. And write it down multiple times. Print it out. Copy it. And keep it in places where you spend a lot of time, like running your business, or you're driving your car, where you shave in the morning, where you shower, you go to the bathroom, it's on your refrigerator, it's in your purse, it's in your wallet, it's in your car, it's in all these places. That's going to remind you, because you're going to have that subconscious impression. Because as you're writing this future letter to yourself, you are going to be very present during this process. And I really want to exaggerate that and emphasize this, how present you need to be and how you should be. Because when time slows down, you make deep-seated impressions within the subconscious. So when you're writing this down, I really want you to feel this. Because the more present you get with the control of the direction of your attention, the more you're going to be creating these images that are associated with this new version of yourself. Because every thought you have, all the inner dialogue that you're having is creating mental images in your mind that are then being pushed out into the simulation. So as you're writing this stuff down and feeling it, you're going to be imagining yourself doing these things. Like you won the lottery, you retired your parents, you bought them a beach house, and then you're going to create pictures in your imagination of this happening and everything associated with that event happening in your reality, and you're feeling it to be true in the present moment, automatically, without having to visualize anything. You're going to be automatically visualizing this stuff. And you could use this for anything. This is how the manifestation process works. This is how the simulation is created, because everything's coming from your own mind, from the images in your own mind. And feeling is the secret, but the image comes before the feeling. So it's about the images that are creating in your mind. And when you're scripting or when you're affirming, that comes before the image. So when you're scripting or you're writing this letter to yourself as if you are this person, you're imaging yourself being this person. And every time you see this letter in these places that remind you, because you're going to keep this letter in all these different places, or just one, but it's always on your person. Every time you feel it, or every time you know it's there, it's going to remind you, make that impression, and then you're going to feel yourself into that being, and then you're going to be imagining yourself being this person. You're going to remind, oh yeah, okay, so my future self. This is who I am now. This is what I'm doing now. And this is very powerful, and you can use it for absolutely anything, even for something small. Even if you don't want to take it to this level where you want to be a multi-millionaire and win the lottery and all these things, what if you just want to 3 or 4x your life, or even 2x your life, or create something new into your life? You can write this letter to yourself from your future self. You can absolutely write this to yourself and feel yourself into this scenario, and it can happen instantly. It can happen the next day. And it could be one thing. You can mix it up. You could do one thing today, another thing tomorrow, and then another thing the next day. You can keep creating these new things, as you go. But if you really want to create a really solid foundation for your new concept of self, you want to make one very detailed, a long one, where you're totally feeling yourself into this, and you're spending a lot of time with this detail from this letter from your future self to the present moment, and really feeling that and keeping that with you, for even weeks or even months at a time, until it actually happens in your world. And you're going to start seeing this stuff start changing in your reality, because you're going to be mentally imaging these things coming into your world. Because you can even test yourself with this. You can run a test right now. You can go into a deep meditation where you do some breath work, and then you go into a meditation, and then you assume something. You assume that you have a better job. All right. Or you assume that you got a promotion at your job, or your business is flourishing. You notice that you're having image after image within your imagination that's associated with that change. Like you're going to see people congratulating you. You're going to see bigger bank balances. These things are going to start happening in your own imagination simply by assuming that something is true. And that's what brings it to you. That's what creates your reality, is what you're assuming right now. And what do you assume of yourself? And what this letter does is it creates a new assumption within yourself that you are somebody different. So your imagination is doing different things. And it's making radical psychological changes within your imagination. And when you make a radical psychological change within your imagination, your physical simulation will have to also make a radical change. Okay? And this is the key to manifestation. This is everything you need to know about manifestation. All the other stuff, you don't need to go any further than that. You just have to develop your attention, present moment awareness, and know how it's being operated. That everything is contained within your own mind, and your images, your inner dialogue, and your feeling states are creating your reality through what you consent to being true of your conscious world, your simulation, because it's dual nature. That conscious part, what you consent to being true, is then being sent over to the subconscious, then being pushed out into the simulation. So when you make a radical change with what you believe to be true and what you consent to be true, you send that into the subconscious, and then your simulation has to automatically change. It has no choice, okay? And it's impersonal and non-selective. It's not testing you. It doesn't want you to be unsuccessful. It doesn't want you to be successful. It's not biased either way, okay? So you have to remember that you are controlling this by what you consent to being true of your world. And when you're writing these letters down about being your future self, but you're being that future self now, as you already have, this is changing what you're consenting to be true of your world. And these are being impressed into the subconscious mind. The more that you keep touching on that feeling and assuming that to be true, and the images are associated with that, there's going to be huge, massive changes within your reality. Okay, so write this letter to yourself right now. Write this letter to yourself. This is the future letter to yourself. Okay, from your future self to you. So what do you want to have? What do you want to be? Who is this version of you? And what are you going to do? And who are you? And step into that concept of yourself and keep feeling and assuming that to be true, because the more you assume it, the more that it'll happen. The more that you're making radical changes, and the images are changing, you're making new impressions into the subconscious, and you're going to start seeing changes. Maybe the next day you'll see one or two things start to change, but keep going. Keep feeling that to be true. Keep assuming that to be true, and you're going to see subtle changes here and there. And sometimes you could see huge changes within the next day, depending on how present and how submerged you are in this new concept of yourself. So get to work, get on this, because the internal work is so important. You can't just push in the exterior world, because it's so much, without actually doing the internal work too, because your world is you pushed out. Okay, it's all contained within your own mind. Everything that you see, all these material possessions and circumstances within your reality, all these objects in your reality, they're not real. Okay, none of it is real. It's all contained within your own mind, being pushed out and it's just a projection. It's a simulation. It's a video game. So remember that it's all being controlled from your imagination. So you have to start assuming new things to be true in your world, and that's what changes it. That's what your world has to change into. But sometimes we're so deeply seated into these beliefs that it is real, that all this stuff, you're taking things so serious, you have all these labels of importance on everything, that it's keeping it real. But you have to start making these changes now. You have to really start making these changes now. You'll start seeing huge changes within your reality, okay? And even if you don't see anything the next day, you don't stop, okay? You have to keep going. It's important to start, but it's more important not to stop. You have to keep going, because you are going to see changes in your reality, and you will experience the glitches, and you will experience a whole new concept of yourself, an entirely new world if you continue. It will happen. I've experienced it so many times. My life is absolutely incredible now. I just got to, I've only been out of prison. I've been out of prison less than 3 years. I'm living my dream life by changing the psychological world, by understanding I'm living in a simulation, by going through all these processes in my meditations, seeing what's creating my reality, and seeing it instantly change by simply changing what's going on in my imagination and what I'm assuming. I have no doubt at all whatsoever that this world is a simulation, and it's being created from within us, because I've actually witnessed it to materialize in my world instantly, from how I changed, what I was assuming, what I'm imagining. And you could also do the same things. Write this letter to yourself, the letter from your future self, and live in this feeling. Assume it to be true now, and watch your world shift. I want you to experience this. I want your world to change. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.